Hello and welcome to Vitality Vibe and to your evening yoga sessions. So this evening we're joined by Mr. Chunk, who decided he wanted to be in the shot. And what I want for this practice is for you to get super comfy. All right. So this is hence why I wore my big hoodie. Do you know when you get home at the end of the day after a long day at work, you just want to kick your shoes off? So whether it's high heels, whether it's work boots, you want to get your shoes off and you want to get into your comfy clothes. So for Padraig, that's a pair of shorts. For me, it's a pair of leggings. So that's what I want you to do before starting this video, is just like to put on what makes you feel super comfy, super cozy. Our exercises for this session are going to be done against the wall. All right, hence why I'm over this end of the room today. So you need to bring your mat right up to a little bit of wall space. And then grab yourself a wee cushion as well for underneath your head. That can make this really nice. So what we're going to do is just a few restorative yoga poses up against the wall, and I'll talk you through them as we go. Okie dokie. So the first one is just going to be throwing the legs straight up the wall. All right. So this is really good for draining like lactic acid out of your legs. It's really good if you have been like out for a big run to come back in and do this. It's also really good if you're someone who's on their feet all day. So if you're a nurse or if you work in a deli counter or just somewhere where you're on your feet all day, this can be lovely. Like I said, when we throw the legs up the wall, it starts to drain the lactic acid. It also starts to drain all the blood so that when you stand back up again, fresh blood gets pumped into the legs. And then with that fresh blood comes fresh oxygen, and it just helps to rejuvenate the legs. Okay, so how we get into this, it's not very ladylike. You're going to get your hip right in against your wall, okay? Pull this down a wee bit. And then what you're going to do is just kind of whoosh your legs up the wall like so. And then you can grab your cushion and take that in underneath your head. And you can see there's a gap here between my bum and the skirting board. So sometimes you have to do a not so ladylike motion where you kind of squidgy yourself in to get your bum right in against the wall. All right, so it's more supportive for the lower back when you're right in against the wall. All right, and then you can have your cushion for underneath your head, and our legs are just going to go straight up the wall. All right, and then you can do whatever you choose with your hands, okay? So you can just have your hands kind of down by your sides, palms facing up. You could place your hands over your tummy. You could place one on your heart, one on your tummy. So if you've had a really stressful or emotional day, this can be lovely. One hand on the heart space, so the center of the chest, one hand on the tummy. Or if your shoulders are really tight, if you've been like sitting at a computer all day, you could stretch the arms overhead, all right, and just kind of start to get the shoulder blades nestled back in to your mat towards your spine. So it's whatever feels most comfortable for you. You could also have the arms out wide like the letter T, palms facing up or down. Up is always, for me, I rather palms up because it opens the chest area. All right, so I'm just going to place hands on my tummy for this one. And then we just want to make that little bit of a connection to the breath. Okay, so we inhale through the nose. Feel your tummy rise. And as we exhale, we can blow it out through the mouth. Feel your tummy soften and feel your body begin to soften here as well. Okay, so inhale through the nose, fill your belly. And exhale through your mouth. And surrender the weight of your skull into your mat or into your cushion. And again, let's inhale through the nose, fill your belly. And then as you exhale, surrender the weight of your shoulders, your upper back, your lower back. Again, inhale, fill your belly. And as you exhale, surrender the weight of your arms, the weight of your hands. Let your palms, your fingers relax. Inhaling, filling your belly. And as we exhale, just release the weight of the pelvis, the lower back, the tummy area. And inhaling, filling your belly. And then exhale, try to relax your legs. Let your heels kind of just soften in towards the wall. You might feel a little bit of pulsing sensation in the legs. You might not feel anything at all. And just stay connected to your breath. All right, so as we inhale, we take the breath in through the nose, and then for the exhale, you can either choose to exhale through the nose or out through the mouth. If it's been a particularly stressful day, you could even sigh out through the mouth. So your inhale will go into your belly, and then your exhale. So each inhale goes into the belly. We have that rise of the tummy. We stimulate the vagus nerve, and that in turn begins to signal to the nervous system to relax. So each time we inhale, bring the breath into the belly, and then the exhale, you choose what you need most this evening. All right, so you could just be gently exhaling through the nose. You could be gently exhaling through the mouth, just blowing the breath out gently. You could be really forcefully exhaling out. And the other thing you can do, which is wonderful for releasing tension from the hinges of your jaw, from that TMJ joint, is to blow bubbles on the exhale. So it sounds like, all right, and that vibration of the lips is really lovely, and it sends the vibration into the jaw, all right, and then it helps that TMJ to release. So quite often we'll hold a lot of tension in the jaw. So just find what works for you this evening. But I want you to imagine that you're just melting, softening down with each exhale. So just letting go. You may need to soften your eyelids. You may need to soften your lips. You may need to relax your tongue. You may need to soften your forehead. Or perhaps even your scalp. So just starting to become really body aware here. And finding where you hold your tension. So weirdly, I hold mine over my right eyebrow. When I do a body scan, I always find that it's that space over my right elbow, or sorry, not my right eyebrow, and kind of out to the side, that I always have to soften. I don't do it on the left side for whatever reason. But as the more you practice body scans, the more you become aware of your habitual patterns and where you tend to hold your tightness and your tension. So for me, it's always that right eyebrow and then my tongue. I focus in on softening, relaxing from the root all the way to the tip of my tongue. For you, it could be your shoulders. It could be your tummy. Lots of people carry their stress in their tummy. And this is one of the most restorative, lovely postures you can do when I'm totally exhausted and I'm just spent and there's nothing left in the tank. This is what I would go to. Restorative moves up on the wall. So you don't really have to do anything. You just lie down. And then make your next inhale really deep. And exhale. Let it go. And then we're going to go from here into a little hip opening exercise. Okay, so what we're going to do is just bend your knees here and begin to slide your heels down the wall. And then go ahead and bring the soles of your feet together. So as if the feet are saying a little prayer. All right, and then from here, it depends how deep, how juicy you want your hip opener to be. So the higher up your feet are up the wall, the gentler this will feel. The more you slide your heels down close to your groin, the juicier this is going to feel. So it's a bit like, in a seated position when you're sitting cross-legged, but we're just not crossing the ankles here. We have the soles of the feet together. So decide for yourself where you need to be this evening. Okay, do you need those feet to be up a little bit higher, creating a gentler movement in the hips? Or do you want to get those heels down low and really start to work a little deeper? And again, hands wherever you want them to go. I'm just going to leave mine on the tummy, but you could place yours anywhere you want. Arms overhead, out to the side, just down on the floor with your palms up. Whatever works. And again, we're just going to move back into the abdominal breaths. Okay, so inhaling and exhaling. And you decide how you want to take that exhale. All right, whether you want to go through the nose, whether you want to go through the mouth, whether you want to blow bubbles. And because we've moved into a new stretch, just check in with the body again. Do that little body scan and notice, are you starting to hold tension? Perhaps you're tightening up the hips. Perhaps it's your lower back. Just do your best to soften. Maybe you need to back up out of the pose a little bit. If it's feeling too juicy, maybe you need to take those feet up a little bit. You can also reach forwards in this posture if you want to hold on to your shins or your ankles if that feels supportive. And just try to keep the face nice and soft. Shoulders nice and relaxed. And just letting go with each exhale. We're almost there. Try to really welcome the sensation of stretch, even though that can sound a little odd, but just try to welcome it and acknowledge it, and then begin to allow it to dissolve. So rather than fighting or resisting a sensation of stretch, just kind of getting comfortable in it. Allow it to be there. So it's a lot like when we have uncomfortable emotions. If we can just sit in them, allow them to be there, acknowledge their presence, more often than not, they will pass a lot more quickly. The less we fight, the less we resist, the easier it is for them to just flow through and move on. Okay, to release from this, you could take your hands to the outsides of your knees and just gently start to slide your legs back up the wall as you just begin to gently move the knees back in. Oh, and although we're doing these like by the wall and we're using the wall for assistance, we're still working hard, all right? So give yourself a moment. You might want to flex your feet, so push out through the heels, draw the toes down towards the face, just giving the calf muscles, the Achilles, all the backs of the legs a little stretch. And then what we're going to do is we're going to begin to separate the legs. All right, so you go as far as you're comfortable to go. All right, so we're going to separate these legs out just as we would in our seated wide-legged forward fold. It's the same thing, but we're using the wall. And just gradually let them begin to slide down the wall. And go to a place where you feel like, yes, that's enough for me. You can relax your feet. And try to relax those inner thighs. So this is a deep stretch for those inner thighs. So just like before, see, can we welcome the sensation of stretch? And sometimes what I tend to do is what I'm doing right now instinctively is I'll use my hands and I'll just gently rub the muscle to just be like, hey ho, you're okay. So if that feels good for you, to give the thighs a little bit of a rub, the tops of the thighs, those inner thighs that are getting a stretch, backs of your thighs, around your knees, outer thighs. Breathe. And again, place your hands wherever you want. You might want to keep going with this massage, just encouraging the muscles to relax. Or you might just want to place your hands on your belly, or stretch your arms overhead. And keep noticing the breath. Taking the breath into your tummy on the inhale. And let the body relax on the exhale. Sometimes when we're stretching one body part, the tension will travel to another. So if you notice your lower back here is tense, maybe try to soften. If you notice your shoulders are tense, try to soften. And just let gravity work its magic here. You might find that the legs will slowly start to open even a little wider. If you keep your socks on, it means then that the heels can kind of slide easily down the wall. And just continue your belly breathing as we marinate here in this pose. Almost there, last few breaths. So take a nice deep inhale. Exhale, sigh it out. And we'll slowly begin to release. Take your hands in behind the knees. Bend your knees softly here and then start to slide the legs back in towards one another. Okay, and we're going to move into our happy baby pose. All right, so go ahead and stretch your right leg up the wall and then take your left foot out a little bit wider than your hip and now begin to slide your left foot down the wall. All right, so again, you can go as high or as low as you want to go. You could even turn those left toes out a little bit like a 45-degree angle like you do in a squat if that feels good, and let that foot slide down the wall. All right, and then we can do the same with the right one. All right, bend the right knee, plant the sole of the foot. And again, if you want to turn the foot out 45 degrees and then let it slide down the wall. And again, I've gone quite deep, all right? So not everybody would bring their feet down this low. Yours might be up here a little bit more. And like I said, we can just turn the feet out slightly. So it's kind of a mixture between a squat against the wall and happy baby pose. All right, so you just decide for you where feels best. And then again, just place the hands wherever you want them to go. Make sure your knees are pointed in the same direction as your toes. Breathing in. And breathing out. And again, notice for you if there's tension creeping into any area of the body. And if it feels like it's too much, just slide the feet further up the wall, away from your bum. Stay with your breath. Using that exhale to release. Almost there, stay with it. Okay, take another nice deep inhale. Exhale, sigh it out. And again, we can use our hands to just gently help us release the legs, slide them back up the wall. If we need to bop them a little bit, you could bop them a little bit. You could rub the outsides of your hips a little bit. And we're going to move into our last pose, all right? So most of you guys will need to shimmy back away from the wall for this one, but I'll show you in case you can get into it. So we're doing our figure of 4 stretch, all right? So what it's going to look like is we're going to be taking this right ankle. I was trying to think what the name of it was. Your right ankle just above your left knee. All right, for the figure of 4 stretch. And you could leave that left leg straight up the wall, or if you want to make it juicier, you can begin to slide your left foot down. Now you see, because my right hip is tight, you can see my bum is actually leaving the ground here. As I'm trying to slide that left foot down, my bum and my lower back is completely lifting up off the mat. All right, so you've got 2 options. Option number 1 is to stay here, left leg straight, right ankle above that left knee, and you're just gently encouraging the right knee back towards the wall. Like I said, if you want to make it a little juicier, you begin to slide the left foot down the wall. But if your bum and everything is lifting away from the floor, then what you would need to do is shimmy back a little bit away from the wall. All right, so I'm just going to, again, very elegantly shimmy myself back here a little bit, so that when I slide that left foot down the wall, now my back and my bum is staying on the ground. Okay, so choose what works best for you. All right, and what I'm going to ask you to do is to keep your right foot flexed. So these right toes, you're drawing them towards your right knee. And then you're trying to send the right knee out gently away from your body, and you'll really start to feel that going into the center of your bum, into your hip. And then we want to breathe in to your belly. Out through the nose, the mouth, whatever works for you. And you can also give the toes a little bit of a stretch here as well. So I'm just going to pull my sock off to show you. So you could use here your left hand, and you can pop your fingers in between your toes. It's not the most comfortable thing in the world to do. All right, but you can get your fingers in between your toes. Here we go. So that you're giving the toes a bit of a stretch here. And you could also do a little bit of an ankle rotation if that feels good. If you're rotating your ankle, you want to do it in both directions. All right, you want to go both ways. And I remember the first time I encouraged my students to do this in class, to put their fingers between their toes. They were like, oh, this is a form of torture. Why would you do this? But if you think about the feet, so the feet are our foundations. And if you think about what we put them in all day, every day, all right? So it's either high heels, it's runners, it's big work boots. They really get squished, the feet, all right? They don't get the freedom to be feet and for the toes to spread. All right, and so if putting your fingers between your toes is complete torture for you, then you're the type of person that needs to do this even more. I wear toe separators quite a lot. I bought them online from a company called Yoga Body, yogabody.com. The guy that runs the company is Lucas Rockwood. He's a yoga teacher. He's based in Barcelona, and he's really clever. I like all of his work. I like his products. And so you can buy his, I think they're called Awesome Toes. The product is called Awesome Toes. And you will get a pack of 2 toe separators. They're like silicone things. They're kind of like what you'd see women using to paint their toenails, but they're way more comfy. And so I would wear those just pottering about the house. I would wear them doing my yoga practice, doing my meditations, just to give the toes a chance to stretch out and to find, where they should be. Okay, very gently we're going to release. Okay, so if you've got your fingers between your toes, you can take that hand away, release that right leg, stretch it all the way up the wall, and then take the left ankle on top of your right knee. So again, you could just keep that right leg straight up the wall, or you can begin to bend that right knee and slide the sole of the right foot down the wall. Oh, this side is tighter for me. Okay, so what you can notice here, because this side is tighter, my left knee is drifting in towards my chest. All right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to flex my left toes, so bring the toes back towards the knee. And then I'm going to use my palm here. I'm not pushing against the knee joint itself, but that fleshy bit to the inside. And I'm just encouraging that knee back away from my body. And then I'm going to thread my fingers between my toes. So again, this bit is purely optional, but like I said, if it's torture, then you really need to do it, all right? Because it's showing you then that the space between the toes is really squished. And I'm going to take a few ankle rotations here. So this further down that right foot goes down the wall, the juicier your stretch tends to get. So you decide where you want the foot to be, and you don't have to go to your furthest expression of the pose straight away. Do you know what I mean? Like, I could tell when I got halfway down the wall there, I was like, ooh, this side is tight. And so I stopped there while I was yabber-yabbering to you guys, and now I've just moved my foot a little lower. So, you can come down in stages. And try to keep the rest of the body soft. So my shoulders at the minute are starting to gather up a little bit of tension. So I'm going to relax my shoulders. And then breathe in through the nose, down into the belly. Either out through your nose, out through your mouth, whatever works. You might just want to stay nice and still, not very much movement, and just keep flexing that left foot back towards your knee. You might even want to release your fingers from between your toes and give yourself a little bit of a foot massage here. Get your thumb and just run it up your foot, releasing. Maybe run it over the top of the foot. Going in between all the phalanges. They're the little bones. And you're just really trying to be intuitive here and do what feels good for you. It's nice to give the feet a rub at the end of the day. When you think about all the hard work they do throughout the day, it's nice to acknowledge them then. Okay, last couple of breaths. And then nice and gently, we're going to release from the pose. We can stretch the legs up the wall one last time. Take the arms overhead. Let a little yawn. If you want, you can finish here like this, big body stretch. You could take yourself into a little bit of a shoulder balance if you wanted. So shoulder balance, you would plant the soles of both feet against the wall, arms down by your sides, palms facing into your mat, and then push into your feet to lift your bum up, peel your spine up. You can begin to walk your feet up, get your hands in onto that lower back space. All right, and so when we're just starting out, with our shoulder balance, this can be a nice place to start. All right, that you've got both feet flat on the wall. You can feel now it's going to make all the blood run down to the head. All right, so be mindful of that. And then you could maybe stretch one leg up, maybe both legs up as you walk your hands down your back as best you can. And then breathe. If you want to get really fancy, you could go into plow pose. All right, so you could maybe take one leg back behind the head, search for the floor. Oh, there we go. All right, stretching out your hamstring. You could take the other, switch it over then, using your core to switch it over. So it's purely optional. All right, you could play around here in your shoulder balance. You could take the legs wide. You could take them like we did against the wall, soles of the feet together. You can play around with bringing both legs down, working your core here where you would take them down, pause, and then squeeze your core to bring them back up again. So this is just if you fancy playing around in your shoulder balance. Shoulder balance might not be part of your practice, and that's cool. And then you can just gently bring the feet back to the wall, lower your body back to your mat. Alrighty, and then just gently roll over onto your side. You might want to take a wee moment on your side if you've been up in your shoulder balance and, like I said, the blood rushes to the head. You might want to take a wee moment here before gently bringing yourself back up to your seated position. Nothing nicer than practicing alongside a snoozy dog. It's funny, like when he snores, I think it's super cute. And when Podrick snores, I literally want to smother him with a pillow. All right, my lovelies, well done on doing your one thing that your future self will thank you for. I hope you feel a wee bit more rested, a wee bit more grounded now, and that you're ready to just chill for the rest of your evening and have a wonderful night's sleep. All right, take care. We'll see you again soon. Bye.